Alright guys, so quick video today. We're going to talk about lever actions, specifically lever actions for home defense, and if you decide to go that route, what type of lever action should you get? What type of things should you do to that lever action to get it to be a good defensive tool specifically for home defense? Now, I've talked about using lever actions as defensive rifles before. I've talked about how they make great like shit hit the fan type guns, great as defensive tools, that kind of thing. But if we're getting really specific, which is what I want to do today, I want to go over some of the things that I would recommend as far as accessories, features, maybe specific types of firearms, lever action rifles to choose when you're looking to put something together specifically for a home defense setup. Now, if you're looking for, gun porn for a lever action that's all, tacked out and defensive and all that kind of stuff, you're looking in the wrong place, because I'm just going to talk about the stuff that I would do. I haven't actually done one, and the reason being is because if I did it, I would really only be doing it as a project and not to utilize it as a home defense tool, because I have options, but I know not everybody does, depending on what state you live in, that kind of thing. Maybe something like this is the best option for you to have a home defense tool that is going to give you some power, something more than a handgun or whatever. All right. So let's talk about some of the things that I would do, some of the recommendations that I would give to somebody who's looking into a lever action gun for a home defense tool. First and foremost, picking the right lever action firearm, in my opinion, probably the most important thing. I would recommend something honestly in .357 Magnum. Okay, you can run .357 Magnum, you can run .38 Special, whatever you want. The advantage here is you're going to get a lighter weight firearm, which is good. You're going to get something in a caliber that, even though it's a lighter weight firearm, is going to have almost no recoil whatsoever. You're going to get something that's going to have higher capacity than any other caliber when it comes to a lever gun. I mean, with 30-30, which is a good go-to. You get what, 5 to 6 rounds in the tube. With .357, you can run 8 plus 1 in the chamber, or in .38 Special, 10 plus 1 in the chamber. So you can have up to 11 rounds if you've got some really good .38 Special. And .38 Special, but especially .357 Magnum, is no joke coming out of a 16, 18, 20-inch barrel on something like this. It's going to do a lot of damage. Easily you can put a deer down, so it's certainly going to take care of anything that you might want to take care of in a home defense scenario. Okay, so my recommendation first and foremost is .357 Magnum. Go with the smaller carbine version, whether it's like this is a Rossi Model 92, whether it's a Marlin 1894, which is a fantastic gun. That's what I would look at. I would stay away from the larger calibers, obviously no 45-70, 30-30, that kind of thing. I'd stick to something smaller carbine like this, and then go from there. Now, as far as once you've made that decision, what do you do to this? What do you do to this gun right here to make it better as a defensive firearm? Well, depending on what you go for, there are some foreigns that you can get out there on the market. I know Magpul recently came out with one that works with M-LOK stuff, which would be a really nice addition to a lever gun. Now, I believe right now their stuff only works with Marlin. So if you're looking to get a Marlin 1894, you could pick something up, and it's going to give you a polymer, just like all their Magpul MOE stuff. A polymer foreign that's going to have M-LOK connections that's going to allow you to do something very important, which is add a light. Very important on a home defense gun as far as I'm concerned, adding some sort of light to illuminate a bad situation. You want to know what you're shooting at, right? And that's obviously a must-have. Now, if you don't do that, you decide to go a different route, if you decide that you just don't really care what you do to your gun as long as it's functional, you can always take a piece of rail and attach it to just a standard foreign. That's an option. Or you can go with like a clamp mount somewhere on your tube that's going to allow you to also mount whether it's via Picatinny or whatever, some other sort of light somewhere else on it. But I would recommend keeping it as close to where your hand's going to be as possible, so you can activate the light very easily. So light is the next thing I would make sure that you have on your gun when you're done. Now, after that, there are different options out there on the market depending on what you want to do, but I would start thinking about how to get some sort of red dot optic on top of your gun. Now, with something like this, it's going to be hard, okay? There's no doubt about it. Basically, you just have a little rear sight that's kind of dovetailed in here in the barrel. But I'm going to flash a picture up here of something that's called, I think it's the Pearson Tactical No Drill Mount. And they make these specifically for like the Model 92s and the Pumas and that kind of stuff. And it just kind of dovetails in, and it also is going to replace this screw back here. And it basically gives you a nice Picatinny rail across the top that you can add a red dot to, which I highly recommend a red dot when you're talking about any sort of home defense long gun. I know I've talked about that before, but it's true. You need some sort of red dot. There's a reason why red dots are the most popular optic when it comes to defensive tools, because they work. They are a huge upgrade from iron sights, okay? Now, if you can't get that, or you don't want that, or whatever, the next thing I would look at is getting yourself a nice big ghost ring rear sight and replacing this with something much more illuminated, right? Not just a standard black sight. Get you something that's high vis, whether it's fiber optic or tritium or whatever, but replace that sighting system if you're not going to go with a red dot. And then finally, honestly, the last thing I would do is I would probably get some paracord and I would wrap your lever. Honestly, that's just for comfort. There are many lever guns out there on the market. This happened to be one of them. I actually had to smooth this out. Sometimes they have really sharp edges on them, and in an intense situation, adrenaline's probably going to be running. You're probably not going to notice if you do hurt your hand, or you're not really going to be paying attention if it hurts while you're racking the lever, but why not go ahead and do it anyway? Again, a little bit of paracord. I've seen people use just leather. They get a leather shoelace and wrap it around there, just something to make it softer on your hand, so when you're working the action, you're not hurting yourself at the same time. But really, that's it. If I was going to take something like this and turn it into a home defense tool, that is what I would do. It would be a red dot. It would be some sort of foreign that's going to allow me to put a light somewhere on here close to my hand. I'm going to wrap this up, and that's going to be it. Probably throw a sling on it just in case, and I'm good to go. But that's pretty much what I would do, and what I would recommend if you're looking to build a lever action as a home defense tool. If you live in a place, whether it be California, New York, some of these other places, where having an AR-15 is either impossible or just really hard, or whatever it might be, and this is an option you're already comfortable with, those are my recommendations. So anyway, hopefully it was helpful and informative to somebody out there. If you got any questions or comments, leave that stuff down below, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks.